I was watching the finale and I think the moment that what happens in that episode happens, we know the moment. I was
Uh-huh.
thinking, why was I fooling myself just watching this casually? Like I wasn't watching it anxious or anything. And I was
You didn't think there
thinking,
were any stakes.
yeah, I was
Me,
thinking,
I was fully stressed
I was
watching the whole
thinking,
thing.
where did I think I was? You know, where did I think I was? I should have expected that, or I should have been anxious expecting that.
I'm guessing the man wasn't anxious since it's been years for him.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. Rubbish.
Man say rubbish.
Okay. Please, let's just start. You guys ready?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm good, man.
Hello, and welcome to the end of day, or I guess the end of day 3. My name is Ebube, and you are listening to Popcorn for Dinner. There's a lot going on in this episode, and our feelings are mixed because somehow we're mourning again, but I guess we'll get to that at some point. The Last of Us Season 2 has been quite a roller coaster. Not just because of the story, but because of audience reactions, stuff going on the internet, and what the fans or detractors of the original game have had to say about things. And I think there are a lot of perspectives that are clashing right now. Thankfully, I have some people with clear perspectives that are willing to share them here with me today. I have Chinedu as usual, and I also have Ima here with me. And in truth, Ima and I are relieved we almost didn't have Chinedu with us. And it was interesting because this was planned, right? We knew that he had like some kind of diplomatic meeting with the Seraphites, and I was a little bit iffy about it, but then we hadn't heard from him in about 3 hours, and we started to feel a little bit worried. Thankfully, he came back. He doesn't quite look the same, but he came back. So, Chinedu, how was your run-in with the Seraphites? Are you physically good?
Yeah, I paid for it with 2 teeth. I had to tell them that I'm cleansed, and I empathize with them, but to commit to the cause, I had to give 2 teeth and go back to the WLF and table the offers. So I'm
So
here.
they took teeth instead of intestine? Is it a color thing?
I mean,
Oh man.
oh yeah, my guts, my black ass guts are not exactly the same.
Cleansed. Those people, man. You know what? Like, let's just start there because it gives me a chance to talk about how ridiculous Ellie is on some level.
Oh my goodness,
because
bro.
let's
Don't
be
get me
real.
started.
She was going to die. Like, she was actually going to die. Like, there's
Don't get me
no
started.
two ways about it. There's no alternative. Like, literally, that attack, whatever the WLF are doing, saved her.
Yep.
And I guess we'll find out more about that in season 3.
Yep.
Season 3, I mean, it looks like they're going for a kind of, let's say, alternate perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Because Catherine O'Hara, who plays Gail, was actually asked about season 3 and everything, and what she's going to be doing there. Because I think there are a lot of people who are kind of looking for a bit of closure to the story of that particular side character of her.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Well, it depends," because Craig has said that season 3 will be the Abby story, and that's an interesting way for them to go about things. I wondered if they would kind of do half of the story for everyone, but it turns out that they're doing the whole story for half of the people in this season, which is an interesting approach. It's worked in the past for a lot of things. George R. R. Martin has famously used it, for example, in A Song of Ice and Fire, whereas book 4 of that series is the whole story for some people, and book 5 is the whole story for some other people. There's some point of view characters that you don't see. So this will be interesting to kind of help us know the WLF going forward. And I guess we'll see how that goes. But this attack that they're doing that we don't really know about, that they've clearly been planning for a long time, ironically saved Ellie.
Yep.
And I don't know if we necessarily view that as another potential writing convenience to make sure that Ellie has
Plot armor.
But yeah, what do you guys think? Because the stupidity of taking a speedboat into a literal storm without considering what you don't know is at the destination is phenomenal. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think... No, you might go on, sorry.
No. I was just going to say, yeah, it's actually crazy. This is one of the things where, you know, when a game gets translated into a thing, you realize, okay, this is very ridiculous. Obviously, in the game, it's like, oh, this is fun. I've got a speedboat. You know, this is action. This is vibes. Actually, I think the speedboat thing was kind of fun. They cut it out, but like in the game, you have to kill someone to get it.
To get the boat.
Yeah. And
It's
there was
so
an
interesting
Easter egg.
how in this post-apocalyptic world, like you wouldn't think that what is happening most often is people just getting murked. But it happens so often. You would think the zombies would be the problem.
This is the thing. I think that's always going to be like what the story is. It's like, oh, you really think it's all about the zombies, but it's like, what are people actually doing? But yeah, I remember that kill to get the boat because there was an Easter egg. Like the person you kill is playing a PSP. And it's like somehow they have saved it or whatever. And I was like, oh, this is Sony and PlayStation trying to
major cap, but okay.
Product
kind of
placements.
like pat themselves on the back, like, you know,
Wow.
like they played a PSP. I was like, oh, I know that took me out because I was like, how do you even get that in this kind of world? Like, I don't know how you've protected it so
Had the
long.
PSP even been released in 2003?
No, but I think the game was not 2003.
later. The game is later.
Yeah, I think the game it happens in 2010.
2013, something like that. I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 2013 is where it's set, but I think the outbreak happens in 2010.
Okay, it's fine. So PSPs did exist. Okay.
Yeah.
And PSP came out in 2006, I believe.
Yeah.
So something like that. So yeah, so I just remember that. But then seeing it now is like, oh yeah, you're actually just on a boat, like going to what you don't know. And we'll get to it. Like even that conversation with Jessie and stuff that she had before like going on the boat and stuff. It's just like, yeah, I think sometimes, you know, some people will say like sometimes a character in a show kind of acts like they know they're in a show. Like they're like, I can't die, so I'm just going to do this. I think Ellie falls into that trap sometimes of like, she just feels invincible. But yeah.
Yeah, people used to accuse Jon Snow of that in Game of Thrones because the man has no sense of self-preservation.
I mean, he literally came back from the dead, right? So.
Yeah, but I mean, the message of this show, I would say, if we could boil it down to one sentence, it will probably be love fights. Like love fights for what is important to it. This whole thing, you know, is like find someone to serve and protect, fight for somebody, protect people, you know, show your love that way. It's a through line in a lot of the characters, especially a lot of the main characters. And everybody is fighting for something because when the world has ended, all you have is the people you love, the people who matter to you. And, you know, Ellie is kind of doing things in a similar way Joel would have, even though this is not really what Joel may have done. Because as we've already established, and as Tommy has established, Joel is not going on any revenge quest with you, but he will go to save somebody though.
Yeah.
So I guess one question now is, you know, Ellie, of course, in the conversation with Jessie that you mentioned, says Tommy would have wanted me to do this. Is that true? Like, would Tommy really? That was kind of the one moment in the episode where I found myself thinking, "Are you sure about that?"
I think
everybody's trying to go home right now.
I think Ellie does that thing where she ropes other people into her stuff, so she doesn't come across as selfish.
As Jessie said, everything she does is for her, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, she said that because she didn't want it to come across like she's just looking out for herself. she wanted it to be as if it's a selfless thing that she's doing, or not a selfless thing, but basically something that someone else would do as well. So it's, she was trying to get that empathy from Jessie. But just to touch on the Ellie thing, I think the whole episode, she kind of, I had to remind myself that she's 19 because she just pissed me off the whole episode. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I think we're focusing on the boats, but even when, when the WLF chased the Seraphite into that garage,
Yeah,
I
and
was
she was like, "We
thinking,
need to get up." I was saying out loud, like, "Why? Why do you need to stand up right now?"
no, honestly, for what
What are you
reason?
doing? Is
For
this why
what
you came?
reason? I didn't get it for the life of me
Like, after
because
everything you've done, you now want to be the warrior of justice,
Yeah.
and you're calling Jessie a hypocrite?
it's crazy.
Yeah, I think that one is specifically, like, I think that was one thing where I felt like it was a writing thing of like, that was just a way to show us or like give reason for Ellie to say, oh, Jessie isn't a good person or is a hypocrite kind of thing. I feel like they had the idea of like, oh, Ellie calls Jessie a hypocrite and, we've known Jessie as this goody two shoes. And then they were like, okay, we need to put something to prove this. And that was what they came up with. So that one kind of took me out a little bit of the fiction because I was just like, yeah, it just didn't feel like what
You
I'd
felt it
expect
was
from those
contrived.
characters. Yeah, I wouldn't expect that from those characters at that point. Like, for Ellie to be like, yeah, let's go and save that guy. It just didn't strike me as natural between both of them, if that makes sense.
I see where you're coming from because Ellie, at the end of the day, no matter what we think of Ellie, she's not, she's also cautious. She's not just, she does, at times feel like she's invincible, but she doesn't just throw her life to the wind just like that. I feel she's a bit more tactical than that scene gave her credit for.
Funny enough, people, I've been hearing that, fans of the game are saying that show Ellie is so different now.
Yeah.
In the sense that show Ellie is not as tactical and smart. Like, they're essentially saying that the show is making it out to be that Dina is the only person with a brain in the room. And that if Ellie was here alone, Ellie would have just, like, this whole thing of like, you're the brute force, I'm the brains, stuff like that. And I feel like there's some people who are fans of the game that are kind of rubbed the wrong way by that. They're like, Ellie is not actually dumb. Why are we trying to make it out that Ellie is dumb? I mean, I don't know. Emma, do you have thoughts on that?
I understand that. I get that.
Yeah, I think I've seen it as well. There's a bit of backlash for Dina, and I think this is one of the things that comes with like the logistics of an adaptation, right? Like, we get this in all types of adaptation. I'm wearing a Batman shirt. You get that in a lot of Batman stuff. It's like, oh, comic book Batman knows the computers and stuff. Why is Alfred doing it for him, kind of thing. All these kinds of things. People complain in all the different movies. It's like, oh, why does he have like Lucius Fox doing this? Like, he can do that himself. All these kinds of things. But the truth is that in a video game, you can have Dina there and like have, minimal, like, she just does what she needs to do. But I think in a show, when you cast an actress and everything, you need to give them a little bit of importance. Unfortunately, more often than not, it comes, in a kind of balancing act of like, most times you end up taking a little bit from your main character so that your supporting character can do a bit more, kind of thing.
Yeah, because they need to do something, right? But there are people who are actually saying online that, the show is basically making Dina the main character in season 2. And I'm like, stop that, let your brain work a little bit. Just hold on a moment and let's think about this. That's just not how this is structured. Not even just in terms of lines, but in terms of screen time. Dina is not the emotional heart of this season. You know, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. I will say though that those people may have something to latch onto in this episode, in that moment where Ellie actually tells Dina what Joel did and why the Firefly remnants came. That reaction from Dina, which is almost like it's just a silent reaction, and then it's just like, oh, okay. And it's just this vibe of, so you knew that like, this is why we were coming here and you brought me here anyway, right? And it's a bit of a reversal because we've talked about how in the game, Dina knew she was pregnant but didn't say anything, and Ellie was annoyed about that. But now in the show, Ellie knew that, they were essentially going on a revenge quest for somebody who did something that is basically unforgivable and roped Dina in anyway. And it tells us a little bit about Dina's morals, in a sense, I think, because we now see that if Dina had known what Joel had done, she may have been like, well,
nope.
Yeah, basically, nope. Because clearly she came because she felt that, one of their own was simply attacked.
Yeah.
But funny enough, Dina did say that it doesn't matter what Joel did to them, right? He didn't
she
deserve
said
to
that
die
before,
the way he did. She actually said that in episode 5, right?
Yeah.
So how does that stack up here? What do you guys think?
I think when she said that first statement in episode 5, I don't think she thought about the extremities of shooting down an entire hospital.
That he killed everyone in. It's not even just because it's steps, right? It's like, oh, he killed people. That was number 1. Number 2, he killed a lot of people. Number 3, he killed people in the hospital. Number 4, he killed everyone in the hospital. Number 5, by the way, is a hospital.
He also killed. He killed
the
an
hope of a kill.
unarmed. He killed an unarmed doctor
An unarmed
as well.
person, number
Shot
6.
him in the head. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. It's literally a lot of stuff. So
yeah, I think all this is very new material for me because, like I said, at this point in the game, you don't even know that Ellie and Joel had that conversation. So, like, she's not having that conversation with Dina.
And they did that on purpose, by the way.
Yeah, definitely.
They've actually said, I think it was Neil Druckmann, who was saying that the way they knew they were going to do the second game and spread it out in 2 seasons, they felt like it would be very ineffective if they made us wait years for that payoff.
Yeah.
Right? We can't just, and I kind of agree. Like, I feel like people would have lost, the kind of connection that they have to it. The people who are connected anyway, they would have just lost that if they didn't understand why Ellie was doing what she was doing. Like, if they had to wait literally till another season to figure out the driving factor.
Yeah, no, I get you. I mean, the way the seasons are set up, to be honest, like, obviously coming back to what you said about Catherine O'Hara as well. Obviously it's what the game does. I don't know if I would go this route because you're now basically telling people come back for a season without the characters that you've known. Do you get what I mean? I would personally have had like a 12-episode season 2 and then done this a 6-6 split or something like that. But yeah, that's just because, like, just logistically, like, we're going to come to it, but like the way season 2 wraps up is basically saying come back for a totally different show. Because that's literally it. Come back for the Caitlin Dever show, who you've only seen in what? 4 scenes, 5?
Who you also don't like, by the way.
Exactly. So come back for her show, it's just like, so I think logistically it's hard. With a game, obviously it worked because it's like, I'm not just going to drop the game and just, I mean, people did do that, to be fair. Quite a lot of people just like, what? No, I'm done. Like,
which is amazing, by the way. Like, wow, really?
Because that was literally like the recreation. A lot of people were just like, I'm waking up as Abby. What? Please take this out of here, man. Like, I'm done.
My dead body.
So like, it's a lot of faith to now say, especially like, it's not even the time that, we're going to, this season is finishing now in May. We're going to say, okay, maybe September, we're starting up again. It's not like classic TV. We're talking probably 2026 at best. And then you're coming back for a totally different show. I can guarantee you there's going to be people that won't forget about this. And then they'll come into episode 1 and like, oh crap, yeah. There's no Ellie, there's no thingy. Yeah. So like, I know it's a very big swing. So I don't know how it's going to work out for them logistically, but like, yeah, it's a peak one. And like you were saying as well, with that POV change, like a lot of that relies on really remembering, the little beats, because you should be able to be like, oh, this is happening when this is happening, and that kind of thing, and connect stuff. But if we're waiting years in between, I guess maybe their hope is that people will rewatch it.
I'm hoping that they'll essentially be like this maybe intertwining. Like we'll be seeing,
Yeah, that's what I was
Ellie
thinking.
and Jessie in the background, Ellie and Dina in the background of some places. Like maybe that
Yeah,
just
I,
in some scenes, maybe like we see like WLF people, but like we don't know
I,
that like
I,
the people
I,
we've always
I
known
don't.
are behind.
I did
I
think it
did.
might have been worth telling the story alongside each other. Like nobody would
I
have
thought about
batted
that
an
as well.
eye.
Yeah,
Nobody would have batted an eye because you're kind of following. It's almost like
both.
you're coming to join, both their POVs at a certain point in the season, because they do come together. It's not like they went on different parts at the end.
Yeah,
They're literally coming. So I think I understand where Ima is coming from, especially because this season and the second installment of the game has been viewed critically, in different aspects. So, for you to take this creative direction, you need to be very sure of what you're doing.
yeah, exactly.
And it's almost like you're saying, or not saying, but it's right now, I'm expecting fully the people who are like critical fans of this show, not critical, but they love this show. I don't expect the casuals. Do you get what I mean? Like the casuals might
Mm-hmm.
not want to be interested in that,
Yeah,
but
Yeah.
that's what I mean.
the faithfuls will be coming back. But what are you saying to the casuals? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, because like to a casual, this is a spin-off show. Because everything they signed up for is gone. Like there's no Joel,
Yeah,
there's no Ellie.
yeah,
Like, do you get what I mean?
something about TV, TV, it's very likable characters is, I might be wrong in terms of gaming, but likable
Mm-hmm.
characters are, we all, preaching to the choir, but it's obviously a big thing in TV.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen Abby essentially kill off the main character, and now, we see her kill off Jessie, two very likable characters. Um, we both discussed, or the three of us discussed at the start of in recording this, the perception that we were afraid that she would get acting this character because we know how
Yep.
criticized this character was. So it's very hard, I think, to go down the routes that they've gone. So I'm very interested to see how they pull it off, not gonna lie.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, we just have to wait and see in terms of like the structure and stuff. And obviously Craig Mazin came out and said he thinks they might need a season 4 to wrap things up. And I was like, okay,
Oh.
what are we talking here? Because obviously I haven't played the game. I'm like, there's a few parts I can say, okay, I can see that going into season 4, but I don't think that's enough for a season. But I know that's another thing that's worried people of like, why don't we just get a longer season 2? Something like that, like I was saying, like rather than, we're basically farming out 3 seasons from one game, whereas the first game gave us 1 season. So it's like, people are quite worried about that. But I guess, we'll see how it plays out and we'll see what they can do. I don't know what the numbers are for this season because I imagine that might affect some of the way they will plan things out and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, I
it's
can't
definitely
imagine.
very ambitious.
I can't imagine game fans will be quite pleased with this.
100%.
I just hope that the response is not overly vitriolic. There's so much to kind of think about with the way these adaptations are being received, and I guess we'll get to that a bit. But even with the Abby story, is that somebody people can really latch onto? I mean, as you said,
Exactly.
right? Some people were playing the game, saw that they were Abby, and they were like, "I'm absolutely not doing this," and then they left. So the thing is, with TV, it's like, okay, well, here, come and check what's going on, and it's different from a game, obviously, because in a game, you literally have to do it. You have to play as the character in order to move the story forward. Whereas with TV, the story moves on, and you're kind of passively watching, and then if you want, you can tune out of all the parts involving Abby, but that would be quite hard if she's the main character of the season.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that she has a certain ruthlessness to her that obviously her own crew, her own friends are literally afraid of her, and there's probably more to why Isaac wants her to succeed him. And it's even interesting to me that all wolves hunt and dehumanize all scars. I guess this is a thing where everyone in this world is on some kind of revenge quest. Everybody has had somebody they care about taken by the other side. But we see that kind of reactivity from them when Ellie lands on their shores. It's like, at this point, if I was Ellie, it's like, if I find myself anywhere and then there are trees, it's like, just don't go inside. Like if I'm approaching anywhere and there are trees, just don't enter any forest. Like, how have you not learned this by now? First time you saw these people, they were dead in the forest. Next thing you saw them disembowel someone in another forest, literally just last night. Like,
Crazy.
Wild. It's interesting because they didn't hesitate. That child that saw her was also a serious problem.
Look, she was really like, tell them.
He said, tell them. What do you mean?
Do you think this is court? Please.
This is not a trial.
Just like, tell them. Like, I have a star weakness here. Bro,
that child was like, that child was gangster, bro. Like that was insane.
Yeah.
That was actually insane. And those, it's like Pete was saying, right? Like, this is such a process for them. They have the correct buckets.
Bro,
that sickle that they
she
used.
brought that sickle. She was so gassed.
You know what's funny? Watching that scene, I thought there was going to be another 2-3 minutes. Maybe they'll read out some readings.
There's
maybe
no
just
epistle, man. No epistle, man. Straight to business.
There was no speech here.
We haven't gone next, man.
You know what's? They didn't even bother to
immediately. They just said immediately.
They didn't care where she's from. They didn't want to find out any stories.
Nobody
said, I'm not a wolf. It's like, okay. It's like, not even we don't believe you. Just say we don't care.
Okay,
it's okay.
Nobody's arguing with you.
If you guys have seen that meme of Hassan, bring the stones.
Like, nobody's arguing with you. I'm not a wolf. I'm not. Okay, we didn't argue now. Nobody said you are. Just balance.
Step in the rope for me, please.
Oh my goodness. Nah, it's crazy, man.
Oh my goodness.
It's crazy.
Man.
And that same ruthlessness is kind of what the wolves show. And in that group, actually, where Jessie and Ellie see them chasing that person. The leader in that scenario was a young man that joined WLF with Isaac. And
Isaac's guy.
Yeah, and Jessie makes some valid points there. It's like he's telling Ellie, listen, I feel like at this point you should have seen enough. Like, have you not had enough? Genuinely, because this is not it's like, think about the reason they came here. They've not achieved that. But Ellie's talking about, let's get involved now. Like, at that point, I'm getting on the horse and I'm leaving. It's like, if you want to stay here, no, because Jessie is like, the stakes are greater for him now. He literally has said, like, I have a kid. So that means I can't die. So we all need to get home. And at that point, I'm just like, okay.
He said it too much.
Like, I feel like I allowed myself to not really see it as death flags because I just felt, there's too much going on here. Like, there's probably some hope somewhere, right? And like, I wasn't even thinking too deeply about processing the implications of it. So that when it happened, it actually managed to, like, actually upset me. It truly upset me. Because I saw him just lying there, blood, his eyes open, lifeless, he's not moving. Ellie is just going, and I'm just like,
I said, I need to send you guys the clip from the game. But here, he was talking too much about not dying. I was like, why are they doing it? Because the beauty of that scene is the surprise. Like, this guy just ran and got a literal bullet header, like, straight into the thing. Like, that was what happened. It was just crazy.
It's so wild, man.
But like, Jessie really had a big roller coaster. The one thing I did want to say was that, obviously, we saw Isaac talking about Abby and saying basically, like, she is the future. And I was like, this is interesting, like, symmetry, because they've been talking about Jessie as the future
of Jackson.
Yeah.
Maybe the two places should go to war. Jackson would lose, but
badly.
Jackson engages in defensive warfare. The WLF, they hadn't. they're actually hardened with this guerrilla warfare stuff they've been doing. And, there are people, the fact that they can't find Abby and her crew on this night, like, I'm actually that's one thing I can say I'm curious about for season 3. It's like, okay, how do we get to the point where they are looking for those guys? What are they doing? Like, is there some kind of discord within the WLF that we don't know about yet?
Yeah.
I mean, also. Sorry, go on.
No. You go on.
No, I was just gonna say quickly that like one thing that cracked me up for that scene was like Jeffrey Wright's face when the woman was trying to suggest he liked Abby. He was like,
please.
He was pretty much like, yuck. It's like, please, we have
she even
serious
tried to
things
explain. He's like, oh, you wouldn't be first old. He said, no, please.
He said he's lactose intolerant, man.
Let's be guided.
Lactose intolerant is crazy.
That's wild.
That is crazy.
That's absolutely wild.
I didn't even think of it like that. I was thinking about it as an age thing, but fair enough.
No, not fair enough. It's age. It's age. Oh my goodness, man. Oh my god.
No.
Listen.
That's the face of a man that's consumed a lot of Dr. Umar, please.
Oh my days, man.
I don't know, man. To go through all of this, like to go through everything that has happened in this season, and still, like, you've done all that just to get to a point where you're still having to beg Abby for mercy. Like,
bro,
it's frustrating, man. Like, I'm so frustrated about this because it's like, what was the point of any of it?
What a botch of a mission, man.
Like, my goodness.
Like, a botch of a mission.
Let's really think about this. Dina took an arrow to the leg. Tommy is down. Jessie is dead. You have not avenged anybody.
Pregnant Dina is inside there.
It's crazy.
Like, what is happening? Like,
bro, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Like, what have you actually cooked? They just found you immediately as well.
That's what I'm saying. See, look. See, she went to that place, right? Like, thinking about the aquarium again, right? We saw what happened there. And, it was clearly crazy. Like, she starts with this matching method that Joel came up with.
Everybody is stealing Joel's bars, man. Like,
literally. Because I remember when I saw that in season 1, I was just like, that's so effective. It's actually so effective. Because
like, this is crazy.
Especially at gunpoint. And, she does it, and I'm like, okay, fine. But Owen apparently is a daredevil. So
the guy.
Sorry to jump in there. I hate when characters do that. It pisses me
it's like,
off.
Bro, you just complied.
Oh my
I can't lie to you. Yeah, I think Owen just underrated Ellie. I don't know if it's
really
a
did.
gender thing, if it's a size thing.
So
no, he looked at her, he was like, you have got to be kidding me. It's like, how are you here right now?
Because who do you think you're outsmarting? In the 3 seconds that you are rushing to pick up that gun and shoot,
you will die.
All they need to do is this.
Pull the trigger.
He's even so foolish because it wasn't just him. He has Mel there that is pregnant.
And he didn't even think... He knew Mel was pregnant. Like, let's be reasonable. Like, nobody's reasonable in this episode.
It pissed me off, man.
Ellie doesn't know, but you know that Mel is pregnant. Can you just behave yourself?
And you already said it yourself.
Mel was ready to actually comply.
You said it yourself that she's going to kill us anyways. You said it yourself that she's going to kill us anyways. So why did you think she would free you to just kill her?
It's such a daft thing, man. Okay,
I feel bad for Mel.
Okay, if he told her where Abby was now, what would have happened? Let's be real. What would have actually happened? Oh, okay. Ellie starts going
told
after
her
Abby.
And then tried to kill her afterwards.
Yeah. But Mr. I don't know what he has been watching. Man said, I can get to that table. I can release the safety and we can do it before you shoot.
Bro. I just think about Mel,
my brain works in memes and gifs. I think, he thought he was Denzel, man.
But even that one, like, it was the same gun. Denzel disarmed the person and used it.
Yeah.
My guy was like, God,
the sick irony, man. Like, heartbreak truly is something, because sometimes the cost is really deeper than what we can fathom. Like, I really felt myself taking in like what had happened to Mel, because in all honesty, how much responsibility can Ellie live with here, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Like look at Mel. Like Mel bled out because a bullet that went through someone she cared about grazed her as it went through him, all before she could give birth. Like, it's just a strong pill to swallow. It's a bullet stronger than the one Chinedu drank. But at the same time, that baby not surviving is just a dark turn.
Fuck you, Ebube, for that.
What they call back, man? What they call back?
Oh my goodness, man. Did you write that before the start of this episode?
No, but
oh my god.
I had to double take about the bullet.
I was gonna say because I think that scene was there for us for a reason, and you know, Ebube, just like you, it really touched me. I obviously they wanted us to hit home the cost of revenge, the cost of, you know, that kind of anger, but then at the same time, I think it wanted to also humanize, you know, the people on the other side as well.
And show what the stakes are for everyone.
Exactly.
Right? Because Ellie is like, they're trying to show Ellie like you're playing with stuff you don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
Like imagine her dying and saying like, you know, take that knife, take the baby out, and Ellie's just like, I actually thought she was going to maybe attempt it, but she just drops the. She's like, I can't do it.
She's pretty much begging for her life, bro.
And that's the point where she's literally like, okay, maybe it's time to go back to Jackson. It's like, it took this much.
Yeah, because at this point,
from day one.
It was so heartbreaking. Yeah. Mel was basically begging for her life. You know, I've got 30 seconds, you know, do this, do that. Is it out? Oh, Jesus.
Like, it's very clear that Ellie is somebody who survives and suffers. Like, she suffers from survivor's guilt on a major level. And
that's what she said, like.
Like, she made it clear in episode 6 that she just wants her life to have mattered, right? She wants all the suffering to have been worth it. But now I think she's starting to ask this question of whether her life truly matters that much more than everyone else on the planet. Because I think in that moment, she's looking at Mel on the ground and is like, what am I doing here? Because it was as simple as listening to Jessie and saying, look, we don't have to do this right now. We've done enough. You've taken some heads. You know, we're on the back foot right now. Dina is injured. We may not make it out. But if we go right now, we can get on our horse and leave. Nobody will see us. But now, Jessie, man, he should have gone to Mexico.
Bro, the collateral damage on this show is crazy.
Bro.
Like, think about this all from Joe not wanting them to make the cure. You see, like I always say, this thing goes back to the Fireflies being whatever. Like, if they had that conversation with Joe, how many lives would have been spared? Like,
literally.
How many?
Everybody just wants to play God.
That whole hospital, whatever Abby and Co have done in the years in between.
Yeah.
Like, Owen and Mel, it's crazy. Like, it's actually crazy. Like,
sorry, you know what I just remembered? Oh, good. Obviously, this is kind of an inside joke, but I just remembered that it would be humanity at the start of the
No, but it's actually true. Like, sometimes humanity facepalm. Like, that's all you can do.
Honestly, I don't know. And like, you think about the story, you think about everything going on around it, you think about like what the characters are doing, and like it then makes you sad. Then you come outside and you look at what the fandom is up to, right? And like, you know, I feel like is it just a question of whether we deserve nice things at this point? And
bro, wait,
like,
calm down, bro.
Like,
calm
no, because like, because I think
there has to be a limit
to how vitriolic people can be, because
man is trying to turn into Skynet.
You think about faith. You think about faith and you think about hope. Then you think about love, and then you see how there's just a lack of some of these things, like even in the real, and it's just.
But if you look at the last 2 days of Jessie, bro, look at the last 2 days of Jessie's life, man.
They have Ebube going philosophical here.
Not just because we live in a society
No, but real though. I mean, okay, this show, I get this show is trying to tell us so much about humanity, and it's almost like, I get you know how you're receiving this show, but then the reaction to it is almost also as crazy as you're not learning anything from what you're watching.
People are so vitriolic. Like, what are we gonna do about video game adaptations? Should we even be getting more? Because these things have been seen. Like, bro, people.
Yeah.
There are people making whole videos about how Bella Ramsey doesn't have the vibe. What are you talking about?
I mean, we need to be careful getting into this cesspits because I'm trying to protect my peace. I think it's one of those things of getting older, man. You just have to, obviously, you want to be careful to not go down a vacuum or, you know, a solitary line of thinking. But at the same time, you need to protect your peace, man, because even today, we're watching this and we're saying the things that we don't like, but at the same time, you need to call out, you know, not everything is, or
There's
at
a line.
least, you know, do you get what I mean? It's not all bad. Come on, you know, the people here are working hard for this, and they're not putting out crap.
It's never enough.
Like, I've
You're saying
seen a
the
lot
story
of
is not
crap TV.
compelling. Like, the story is it's still a compelling story, but it's just like they're not telling the compelling story you want. So because of that, everybody's wrong. Like, why? Like, what happened to critical thinking? Like, not everything is for you. Like, literally, you don't have to watch this.
Bro, tell me
This is the
about
thing.
it.
Like when I think about it, I'm like, okay, what don't I like about the show? I can only say stuff like, okay, I don't like this change. I don't like that change. I guess the only thing overarching I could say that I don't really like about the season, and probably compared to the game, is just that I feel sometimes like the characters over-explain things. But that's maybe a me thing. Because I feel like sometimes, you know, we should just let the reactions and stuff like that. So, for example, that conversation with Ellie and Dina, I feel like there was a bit of over-explaining, you know, of like, oh, Joel did this and this. It was almost like, you know, and I think that's why probably some people can't articulate it, but I think that's why some people have a problem with the Gale character as well. Because when you have a therapist character, people have to explain a lot more and like really get into that feeling.
You think that's also why some people have an issue with the porch scene from episode 6?
People have an issue with that.
Some people do. Some people, because I think, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Ima, but people are saying something along the lines of there's another conversation that happened that they kind of like merged in here in terms of like the emotional payoff. But I thought it was a 1-to-1 based on some videos I've seen. So
it's mostly a 1-to-1.
People are like, I think maybe they're wondering why it's happening now. Like why maybe slowing down the season.
Maybe it's that.
I don't know, because I think it gives us closure with the Joel character, of course. But
the only other conversation I can think of is what I was saying before, of like it was two separate things of how she found out what happened in the hospital and stuff like that. And like I said, I personally prefer this, which is she actually kind of put it together. And then they had the conversation rather than, oh, she went back to the hospital and found the recording and saw the dead bodies and stuff like that.
Yeah, that would have actually been so contrived.
I feel like that was a bit much.
That would not have worked for TV much because like, how do you even go to, how do you manufacture that reason?
Because in the game it's just a flashback that happens shortly after or something. But yeah, with this one, I'm like, okay, I kind of understand that. So the only thing I can say, like, I have a problem, I can see why people have a problem with the porch scene is that it recontextualizes a lot of things. Like, because like I said, if that's happening at the end, we don't know any of this. And it's like, you know, okay, cool. And that means like even stuff like having this conversation with Dina is not possible because, you know, we're not in the loop. Like only Ellie knows what Ellie knows kind of thing. So that's the only thing I can see. Like people saying, okay, why is it a change? But I don't think it's something that, that, you know, kind of is like a sacrilege or anything like that to the way that some people might say it.
Maybe it's a signifier that, you know, it is perhaps the end of Ellie's story as we know it. Since we're moving on to Abby's side of things, maybe they put it where they put it because like Ellie's perspective was ending. So it's kind of like almost the end of the game adaptation for Ellie.
Yeah. That's a good show,
Yeah. Okay, no, I can't say that. But yeah.
But I mean, I think just to go back to the conversation of, you know, just the collateral damage of I think they've
Everybody.
essentially told us the story of, you know, don't go for revenge, and you know, they've told us this is what the trail of bodies you can leave behind, you know. And
Yeah.
kind of it's sad because everybody that died from Abby's crew, Ellie didn't mean to kill them. She
Except maybe
actually
Nora.
she didn't mean to kill Nora either. I don't think, because
You don't
Nora
think she'd
died
have
from the
killed Nora?
infection. Nora
Nora
died
died
from
from the
the infection.
infection.
Nora died from the infection, but she was trying to kill Nora, no?
No,
Because Nora was
I
the
don't
one who
think,
held her down and made her watch.
I
Yeah,
don't
but
think she was going to kill Nora because
she was
because
making
you
her
remember
talk.
exactly. Remember, the whole thing only happened because Nora poured hot water on her and then ran away when she
Yeah.
was So she didn't. I don't think she was actually going to kill anyone, or
Meanwhile,
she
they've not
intended
got
to.
money.
Exactly. So
Anyway,
you can imagine,
let me not start.
you can imagine her intentions coming in here, and she's killed 3 people that didn't. Well, I don't know about need to die, but 3 people that she didn't want to die, and then the one person that she was out to get. Like Ima said, what a botch mission. What a botch mission for real.
Like, it's like, look at where she ended up at the end.
How do you
like,
go back to the Jackson Council with that, guys?
Like,
okay, so
we ended up with more
got-
deaths.
Well, by the way, Jessie is
we've
dead.
got some good news and some bad news.
Nah,
Bro,
man. Like, don't even show your face. Nah, they'll really be devastated because they've been grooming this guy. They've been training him.
Not just
Like,
president-elect, the president-elect, the president himself.
The crown prince.
The president-elect's son. If they wanted to do a Game of Thrones,
Bro,
pass-
that's actually crazy.
Oh
Like,
my
look
goodness,
at-
man.
Look at what's... Nah, man, that's actually like, this is such an expensive mission. So everybody too is
Yeah.
in Jackson and like...
You know, it's hindsight. Hindsight is crazy because even for me, watching it as well, hindsight is crazy because now you see why the council was so against it, because you've sent essentially 5 of your best men, or how many? Dana, Tommy, Jessie, Ellie. Okay, 4
By the
of
way,
your best
I just
people.
knew. I knew I was right. I knew Jessie voted no. I just had a
Yeah, no,
feeling
I was
that
too
either
clear.
Jessie.
No,
I was like, I had a feeling like either Jessie or Tommy would have voted no. At least one of them would have voted no.
Jessie voted no,
No,
but
I knew he
one
voted
of
no.
I knew one of him, Jessie and Maria voted no. For sure.
I was so-
Yeah.
Only one? I think 2. I think Maria definitely voted no.
I don't think Maria said yes, bro.
I think Maria definitely...
Maria heard
But
that
I-
whole thing. I was just like, what are you talking about?
I knew Jessie voted no. The guy looked so sheepish. He was just like... I was
Oh
like,
my
yeah. Like,
The community. And then she now says F the community. What? Girl.
Your community is
No,
what you make
I mean-
it, bro.
I mean, I obviously she was very brash with that, but I kind of get what she was saying. I think like Ellie, this is the problem sometimes, right? Ellie tries to justify herself a lot because now she's saying, "Oh, your community is only Jackson, Wyoming. What about everyone else? What about the random
But that is
fighting
literally
his
what
boxers?"
community is, though. Like, can we be
Yeah,
real?
no. But I think it was. This is the thing. She says Jesse is not a good person, but she's guilt tripping him because she knows
But-
he's good enough that it'll work. You can't guilt trip
But Ebube,
Joe. You can't guilt trip Tommy. All these guys that are hardened.
yeah.
It's Jesse that you can actually try this
I
rubbish.
guess.
Isn't that something the show and the game is trying to tell us? Your community is not just a community, because we've seen what people that just care about their communities, and we've seen the
Yeah.
results of it.
There are
Because-
2 major diseases in this world. The first one, of course, is cordyceps. But the second one
is humanity.
is tribalism.
Okay.
It's tribalism. Literally. Wait, where do you think I was going with that?
I thought you were going to say humanity.
Look,
But nah, yeah, 100%.
honestly,
because it's
everywhere we look, there are people who are facing this idea of us versus them. And the reason Jackson thrives is because they don't do us versus them over there. They're considering bringing people in, when people come in, they try to integrate them. People are trying to build something. And to be honest, all that network of
Honestly,
cordyceps underground, I don't know where
it's-
that's going. But
it's very sad though. It's very sad because us just talking about this topic of community and everything. It's really sad because we see it right now in real life. It's just it's just the core of who we are as a species. We're just not. we're just not, wholesome. We're just not, it's a bit, yeah, like Ebube said, it's very sad. And, you have faith and you have hope. And some of these things, you just,
Vibes are just bad.
bro. No, for real, because I think you can make this show 8 million times. You can show it to 6 billion people that exist on this planet, and you can bring cordyceps right now tomorrow, and I guarantee you that humanity will take the same exact path.
Yeah.
What does that say about us? What does that say?
Yeah, we are cooked. I mean, look at when COVID happened, and look at how people were rushing for tissues, man.
Oh my goodness, man. That was a real thing to witness. I can't lie.
Oh
That was
my
a real
God.
thing to witness because
the people that just didn't want to wear masks and
can we even just think about how they like something like COVID gets announced and everybody's just like, I need to stock up on toilet paper.
Okay.
Like, and you're
I'll
thinking about the
never
reasons.
forget that, man.
It just tells you like where people's minds go. It's like, okay, I'm not going to leave the house,
Oh my goodness.
but I need to stay sanitary. So like,
what is funny is that I played The Last of Us the first time, like the first game during COVID. So like it was such a weird experience. Like
that's mad.
like this kind of like apocalyptic, it's a pandemic for all intents and purposes, whilst the real one is happening. So it was so crazy. I was like, is there any chance like anything ridiculous like this could actually happen? But
trippy.
It was a weird thing because I think I started the game and then 3 days later was lockdown, something like that. Yeah, something like that. It was crazy. Yeah, it was actually a crazy time, so to speak. But like you
put
said,
yourself through a lot too. Even your escape was
bro. I didn't even plan it, man. I was cooked. I was just like, yo. This is it, I guess.
Ima is coming away from social distancing to come and play cordyceps.
Bro. Coming away from looking for tissue to come. Nah, man.
To be dodging seraphites, man. Oh my goodness.
Anyway, what a season. As we said, there's quite a lot to take in, and I'm curious to see how people will really react to this and hold on to this for the next however long it takes for them to bring out season 3. I hope things don't get too crazy, and any hate that people are sending towards the cast and crew, I think people just need to learn a lesson, for crying out loud. But yeah,
look, it's a fun watch, man. It's not.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, you can't. Apocalyptic games.
You can't cry because they're not telling the story you want them to tell. Then why are you here?
Yeah, see, take it from me. If things are getting too much, like when they killed off, what's this guy's name in Walking Dead? When they killed him off, bro, I couldn't really relate to it again, and I switched it off.
This was me with How to Get Away with Mother when Wes died.
Are we about to start spoiling shows now? Okay, let's go.
I know now, guy. That came out when I was in uni.
Bro, if you haven't watched it,
brother, that came out when I was in uni. I'm basically an unk at this point. Like, if you don't know that Wes died and How to Get Away with Mother, I'm sorry, but good luck.
Oh, wow.
Like literally, like if you literally Google TV deaths that made people quit shows, you see it. Like I'm pretty sure you see what's his name, Alfred Enoch's face. Like because that's what people always point.
That was a pretty crazy one, can't lie. Because it was like, okay, where do we go now? Like that was probably the boldest move that show ever made. I can't even lie.
Yeah,
I know that's not what we're here to discuss, but
no, definitely.
maybe the boldest move that show ever. Because after, anyway, let's not start with that show.
I always laugh about that show because I think I was talking to someone about it and I was like, oh, this guy died, and they're like, How to Get Away with Murder? Isn't that the law show with law students? Why are they dying? What did they do?
I mean, it is titled How to Get Away with Murder.
But you know what? When they said that, I was like, that's actually crazy. Like, this is a show about uni students studying law, and people are just dying anyhow. Like,
bro, the show was always a bit of a reach. Like, so many things would happen in that show, and I'd just be like, why though?
That was
Why?
was
Like,
that
what's
was
going
cable
on here?
TV time, man. That was
That was
you're watching your
network TV,
suits,
man.
you're watching your
Every
suits,
Thursday
your
night
Scandal, bruh. They had to bring every episode was packed with something. They had to
Shout out
guns
Shonda
blazing.
Rhimes.
Bro.
Shout out Shonda Rhimes era.
Our goats, man. Our goats.
Yeah, I mean,
Kerry
Grey's Anatomy is
Washington
still running.
and this
Viola
guy, they're
Davis
still doing
going
it
bad for
till
band.
today.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Well, yeah, I guess that's a good place to call it. Thank you guys for being on this season. This has been quite a journey. We've seen a lot, and thank you as well to Pete who joined us for episode 5. I feel like this show has a lot to offer people, and we could probably be having a lot of interesting conversations about the structure of it and how it's really delivering its story as opposed to some of the things people want to focus on. But having said that, I'm grateful to everybody who's been listening to us talk about this show, whether it's on YouTube or any of the audio platforms, whatever fits your fancy. We've had quite a busy year so far. I mean, we've covered Severance, we've covered The White Lotus, Invincible, like it's just been one thing after another. And
Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that show. Anyway, let me not start. But but yeah, like now with this show, I think maybe it's time for us to relax a little bit. So I think it's probably a sensible thing to let everyone know that we will be taking a little bit of a summer break just so we can remember what sleep feels like. And and in the coming weeks, we'll actually be bringing out a few recommendation style chill episodes that aren't journeys into the apocalypse or trips to Thailand or whatever the heck is going on at Lumen. So we'll be starting off with
let's bring this crew back for your friends and neighbors episode, guys.
Yeah, we will be
this.
discussing your friends and neighbors. We're going to be discussing the studio as well soon. But before all that, the next thing we're going to have out is going to be an episode with Bankole and Lolade discussing hacks, because they have been itching to talk about hack. I cannot tell you how long they have been trying to talk about this show, but it's fine. It's finally here. So yeah, thanks so much to everyone for listening. Thank you to all the amazing guests who've been here for this year so far, and we'll see you all soon. Have a good one.